Alright, well, YouTube's bullshit streaming shit, um, is theoretically now live. I'm going to, post this on Twitter and Phoebe, and then wait for some folks to get in here in order to get started. It's just another one of those informal discussion streams. Um, Also, I'm gonna see, because last time I had one of these, I actually had viewers who were from off channel, and that never happens. I never get viewers from off channel, outside of my network. I never get people who get recommended my shit, and my assumption is that the reason that is I'm normally talking about something rather controversial. I mention it in the title, I mention it in the description of the show, and in general, I think that may alter my ability to appear in anybody's suggestions and or recommendations. So I think the fact that the description and the title were relatively sanitary of that sort of thing, like on the last informal discussion stream, and the fact that it was called a highly informal discussion stream rather than a stream about insert controversial subject, that maybe that meant that the stream was more visible to other people, because YouTube's algorithm wasn't messing it up. So I'm going to test that and see if I get people from off channel, out of network, etc. this time as well, because it was a good show last time. I got an interesting discussion with somebody who had never been here before, and I kind of want to keep doing that. So if not including any information about what it's about is what I have to do in order to do that, then fine, I will do that. Maybe I'll make all my titles and descriptions as vague as possible, like it'll be like one of those fucking things where you're supposed to describe it but poorly, on social media. I don't fucking know. I'm gonna drink some of this pink bullshit. So I'm gonna share this in some group messages on Twitter, and then I will get started with the updates in general. I'm gonna hope more people tune in. Like it was last time, this will last just as long as people are interested in staying and asking questions, because I'm willing to, like, I went on Break the Rules, and like, for Break the Rules, it's he invites quite a few statists on, so it's an interesting concept. Maybe what he means is that he needs people like me to come on and break the rules for his guests. But I went on for another 4 hours for his stream the other day. Actually, it was yesterday, wasn't it? I don't know. Fucking something. Thursday? I don't know. I don't remember exactly what day it was, honestly. I think it was probably Thursday, now that I think about it. But like, I went on and I discussed things with Libertarian Party members, and it went exactly as well as my smirk is already telling you it went. It went, like, I think I did reasonably, and some other folks claimed I did reasonably, but ultimately, little progress was made, I think. I don't know. I might just be being a cynical pessimist about it, like everything else. I could be full of shit, but I feel like it was more of a shit-flinging contest than anything, and I'm good at flinging shit, mind you. You know, possibly the best at flinging shit, because I'm really okay with pissing off everyone. So, like, for that purpose, I wasn't bad at all, but at the same time, like, I kind of would have rather be productive, like, especially since when I went on to discuss things, like, I was told there was going to be Spike Cohen on, and I really respected him from his social media presence. But then at that point, when I came on, and I asked him what should have been a really easy question to answer: is the Coke influence still just as bad as it was, or has that lessened or greatened? He seemed to deny that there was any Koch influence in the fucking libertarian movement. And that is so asinine. That is so asinine. He also seemed to ignore the fact that the party's policies have gradually changed, that people's adherence to those policies have gradually changed. The whole thing was messy as fuck. And he kept on like insulting me. I didn't insult him. That's the thing. I didn't insult him. All I said was that there were many members of the Libertarian Party, not the least of whom is Gary Johnson, who have some serious ideological consistency issues, which is fucking true. Patently and obviously fucking true. But he reacted extraordinarily defensively, basically denied that the problem exists at all when it obviously fucking does, and acted as though because he and his presidential running mate aren't guilty of this, that the party is fine. And like, no, that's not the case. So that's one of the things I'm bringing up right now, because I wanted to say I was on there for 4 hours and he was only on for 30 minutes, so that should give you an idea of my stamina, especially compared with my other libertarian contemporaries. So I can shoot the shit for as long as there are questions within reason. You know, I'm not gonna go for like 12 hours. But Lev. Yeah, Lev is the host of Break the Rules, so he remembers the semi-shit show yesterday, or Thursday it was, where Spike basically denied that there was any problems, and he fucking called me a basement dweller. Yeah, it was a real shit show for some of that time. Then we got into an actual good discussion, I think, about like basic existence principles, philosophy, who Plato is. But you know, it's a good channel, especially if you want a wide variety of guests. So feel free to go check that out. I've been on twice now, and I'm probably going to be on in like the early part of November. So feel free to go to that channel. I have it in one of my recent tweets, and if you're interested in a link, I can send that link as well. But that happened. I was on Use Guys and That podcast twice in the last month. And I want to do one of these informal discussion streams once a month, because I think it's useful to update people. I think it's useful to have a casual conversation with people. And I think it's also useful to remind people that I do not need others. I do not need guests in order to be interesting, because I think especially in the libertarian sphere, I think a lot of people in the libertarian podcast sphere, they get guests who are interesting, and like they start relying on having guests in order to talk about subjects. I think a good person who's broken away from that is Nick Irwin. I think James Corbett does a good job of it as well. I think True Stream Media still rocks every single fucking time. And I'm gonna watch their most recent video. It looks interesting, untying the Gordian knot. So if you're interested in checking them out, it's an hour-long video. So, as with everything else True Stream Media puts out, brace, because there's gonna be a lot of information, and you're gonna have to spend a lot of time parsing it. But basically, yeah, that's the idea. I want to start having these things once a month, sort of updates, sort of, you know, what's going to be happening going forward. And one of the things that's going to be happening going forward that will likely be starting today, but I can't guarantee, is gaming streams. And I'm going to include, like, various things that'll make the stream interesting and not just related to gaming. including I'm going to be using the opportunity to talk about how the games are related to certain conspiracies. Like, I'm going to play through the Deus Ex series at some point and like point out all the little things in that game series that actually meet out in the real world. Because to me, that series is one of the best if you want to red pill somebody. Like, it has so much depth, and that's the thing, nobody's exactly right. Even the guy on the radio who's like talking a good deal of good conspiracy stuff is a self-interested hack, you know? Everybody's at least a little bit wrong in that series, and you get to make your own choices, so I think that's great. But that, I'll be going over how libertarian Sonic is. I'll be going over various elements of real-world politics in the Tom Clancy games, not the least of which is the Splinter Cell series, which is still one of my favorite series, the philosophy of Silent Hill, things like that. But I'll also be just doing general gaming streams. But like what I'll be doing is I'll be having a ticker of my funding goals for the month. That way people can transparently support what I do and see where their funds are going. But all that is going to be happening. Additionally, I'm still going to make videos for my fitness channel on Instagram, Insanity is Fit. And what I want to do with those videos, I want to do like consistency. I want to have like a video, 2 pictures, a video, 2 pictures. And on my Instagram TV thing, that's going to unlock at 1,000 followers on that Instagram page. Because what I want that to be is, like, I want it to be a place where once I start getting significant traction, I do full-on workouts. Or, like complex sets, and really show people technique more than the minute Instagram allows for their normal things. But I'm waiting to build it up till that point, so that I'm sure a certain amount of people are going to actually see what I put out. Because right now, I think I'm like at 100 around, and that's not really enough to start getting traction. Plus, I wouldn't mind being sponsored by some fitness institution or like some supplement company or whatever. And they usually ask for a relatively high follower count. So I'm going to start incentivizing certain levels of activity on that account for certain amounts of followers. It'll be sort of like an achievement thing, like once a certain amount of people follow me, I'll do X. So keep an eye out for that. Also going to be having guests on my channel still. But I'm also going to be trying to put out more regular content. Now, the mixed news is that AgoristNexus is somewhat back. And the reason I say... Psychofire says, so you're going to change the content of this channel? No. This channel is going to be what it always was. I have other channels for these sorts of things. The gaming streams are going to be held on Twitch, and also Jeremiah Games on YouTube. Probably some other services as well, because I'm going to diversify to make sure, if the Sensites over the fucking terrible Twitch moderation team get mad at me, I'm still available elsewhere. But Twitch will be my main until that happens. Basically, I'm going to do what I do everywhere else. I'm going to diversify my portfolio. Now, if somebody decides that they like what I do, and, if I get a significant amount of followers and they decide that they like what I do, and they're like, I will sponsor you, but only if you play exclusively on DLive, I might consider doing that. But no, this channel is probably never going to change. It's probably always going to be my insane conspiracy rants, my talking to guests about politics. So if you like that, if you like that and that's why you're subscribed, you have no reason to unsubscribe or anything. The thing that I'm going to be doing is going to be on different channels entirely, and mostly on different websites. So you won't have to worry about that. This channel is going to stay the way it is. I'm not lowering my content production in other regards. I had to find a way to balance my schedule and do gaming streams and content and fitness bullshit while also doing the other stuff, and it's been kind of a struggle, especially since AgoristNexus was censored. First, like for the first month, there was no content from me on AgoristNexus because they couldn't pay me at all, and that's because the censorship cut down not only his personal account, the founder's personal account, but it also removed the AgoristNexus page and multiple other libertarian pages that he would use to promote AgoristNexus articles, among many other articles and many other content. It was part of Facebook's anti-bot purge, or anti-spam, or anti-misuse, but he broke no terms of service, precisely fucking zero, and he was still censored. If any of you are interested in finding out more about that, I did an interview with him. But basically, I've been, like, out of work for a month, and that's why my income has been so low. It's recently picked back up, but at a limited scope. That's why I said it was mixed news, not just good or bad news. The content that I've been doing lately has been trying to get a presence elsewhere other than AgoristNexus, because AgoristNexus is still where I want to write, but I can't make money there if they're not paying. And it's reasonable that they're not. I mean, there's nobody visiting the page because people aren't on the alternative social networks where we are. So that's one of the things. Like Jason Bassler of the Free Thought Project, he's been really pushing hard people joining alternative platforms, because if all of your eggs are in a literal CIA basket, which, if anybody hasn't figured it out yet, Facebook is literally just the CIA. So like if everybody puts all their eggs in a literal CIA basket, when they drop that basket, all their eggs break, right? So Facebook is a fundamentally evil institution designed to gather your information for the US government, and it's useful because it's where the normies are. But if you're banned from Facebook and you were relying on Facebook for your reach, you're fucked. And that's what a lot of people found out, and that's the reason, because he's been censored personally on multiple occasions, most recently having been locked out of his Police the Police account, like the fourth account that he's had to make for Police the Police. He's been locked out of, and effectively it's reduced the reach of the Free Thought Project and also reduced his ability to personally spread his message. So he's been really pushing hard, valiantly, extremely valiantly, to get people on MeWe, to get people on Minds, to get people on alternative social networks. And so have I. I've been making the same kind of push for a very long time. I've been saying get on the blockchain, get federated, get off Facebook and Twitter, or at least diversify your content like I do. Like, I try to be everywhere. I'm fucking Hydra, yo. So if you decide like you want to be away from the US government literally being able to suppress any content they want, you need to not be just on Facebook. Like, it's super simple to understand. So, and I'm not like preaching to you guys. You guys already know that. I'm mainly saying that in case anybody is like seeing my streams for the first time. Because anybody who's been following me for a certain amount of time, they know I'm annoying about this and many other things, but this especially. But that's the reason I've been low on cash the past month, is because of that. So if any of you want to support this channel, feel free. I definitely deeply thank you for that. Also, I found out something while on the Break the Rules stream, because I was going for I was trying to advertise Cointree, even though they've never sponsored or paid me. Hit me up, Naomi, if you want to get your company in front of like every like viewer of my content. I'm willing to do a sponsorship thing if you decide to. But so I was talking about that. I was talking about Cointree. Cointr.ee, and its utility to anarchists and agorists and anybody who wants to like talk alternative subjects. And like with regards to that, one of the things that was brought up is that they actually have an OBS plugin now, so you can use Cointree like Streamlabs, and to me that's fucking mind-blowing, because Cointree allows for cryptocurrency donations, and if I could get cryptocurrency donations for content during content and still get the little bloop pop up where somebody could leave a message, that'd be incredible. Additionally, it's just useful in general. Anybody who doesn't have one, I'm going to post mine while I'm talking, if I can multitask like that, because this thing is so heavily useful, and I think if people had this, so that people could know where they are, and they tried to diversify as much as possible, that they would see a lot of gains in a lot of their alternative social media content, because ultimately the primary reason I think people aren't on all these alternatives is because they don't know that their friends are, that their content creators are. They don't know anything like that because people don't advertise their shit, and it's not like, there's one centralized hub. And then there's Linktree, and Linktree isn't bad, believe me. I don't think Linktree is bad, but it doesn't have the cryptocurrency edition. It doesn't have QR codes that you can easily scan to donate cryptocurrency. So, even though it's not benefiting me financially at all right now to say this, and it hasn't any time I've said it before, I hope people get on Cointree, because I think it's very useful. The same thing with PocketNet and Commune, which are I don't know how to pronounce that. Commune. I don't know. It's a Russian thing, where you're posting to a blockchain, because if you post to a blockchain, you're uncensorable. You can't be censored if the information you post is sent to everyone and they all maintain it for you. There's no central authority that can stop you from saying what you want to say. That's what PocketNet is. That's what Commune is, and that's what, to a certain extent, Steemit is. And I say to a certain extent because a lot of the whales over there have found a way to suppress any content they don't like, especially content critical of the whales. So, and a whale, for those of you who aren't into money, is just somebody who has a whole lot of money to throw around. And in this case, they have not only a whole lot of Steam points, but they have a whole lot of influence in the voting. So if they downvote your content, if they flag it as spam or whatever, or a rule violation, even if it fucking isn't, it'll go downhill. And there's no way to vote away their ability to do that if they start abusing their power. So Steemit turned into a shit show rather quickly. But PocketNet is still pretty sound. Commune is still pretty sound. And I recommend getting on the blockchain. I recommend it because if you don't have immutable content, you will always be censorable. Facebook can always strip you of your ability to do work. Google can always strip you of your ability to do work. So I want people to get on these services so that they're universally findable, so that if they've got anything valuable to say, they're not suppressed. So that's my primary thing today. I want people to do that because, I don't know where rent's coming from, and I've been saying that for the past 2 months because effectively I was out of work. I mean, I'm back in work, sort of. It's reduced content and reduced pay, which is understandable. But basically, I'll be able to, this month, if I can get rent this month, totally make that content. I can do shorter pieces, which is what it's going to be. It's going to be shorter pieces, but still just as content packed, and lower pay for that content. That's what it's going to be over there until we can get our stuff back up and going, which I'd prefer if we got all our stuff back up and going on alternative networks to Facebook and Twitter, because Twitter and Facebook, I'm surprised. I am fucking shocked every time I don't wake up banned from these places. I've said it time and time again, because I'm pretty sure I break TOS. And either way, there are a lot of people who don't break TOS who've been banned. So I don't know what I'm doing right, or if I'm doing anything right, But I'm not banned for, or if I'm doing something wrong, maybe they want me there because I'm playing right into their hands in some way. I don't fucking know. It's one of those things where my conspiracy brain won't shut the fuck up about it, so I have to silence it personally. So basically, if we were all on these alternative networks, we wouldn't have to worry about Facebook censorship, because if we put out content, people will see it, guaranteeably, rather than this cat and mouse game where we have to wonder whether or not our content will be seen, whether or not we'll be censored tomorrow, whether or not we'll be allowed to speak today, whether we'll be put in jail for 12 hours during a critical event and lose subscribers that way. Whether, because that's the thing. These people are sick. They're elitists. They don't give a fuck about you. And they don't care that they're harming people, because that's what they're trying to do. So ultimately, when it happens, it's because they wanted to control the message. And when it doesn't happen, it's because they figure they can control it by some other means. They don't need to ban me from Twitter or Facebook or YouTube, because they censor me anyway. They suppress my content. They keep me from being seen by new people if I include the wrong words in my information. So ultimately, I don't need to be banned. They'll censor me anyway. And they do. They've unfollowed people. Just the other day, when they were doing their so-called glitch that they claimed was a glitch on Twitter, they they fucking took away 60 of my followers. They force unretweeted and unliked a bunch of people, a bunch of people's interactions with my tweets. Apparently, unless you have notifications on Twitter, my tweets are nearly invisible. I've been told this time and time again, where they haven't been able to see my tweets even in chronological mode, because Twitter suppresses me. I've had a hard time getting people's direct messages on Twitter. Sometimes I check my email for direct messages rather than Twitter's notification system, and I have to go manually type in their name in order to catch a direct message. Twitter prevents my things from being seen in direct messages by claiming they're spam, even when they're not, and there's something that people directly asked for. Things are not good on the social media front. Facebook suppresses my stuff by preventing posts from being able to be seen even when people are tagged. They put me in jail, somewhat occasionally, in order to prevent me from saying anything. They don't need to completely ban me to censor what I'm saying. So the amusing thing is that even though I'm on Facebook and Twitter, even though I've got relatively large audiences there, even though I've given Twitter content and traffic for going on 12 years now, I don't get the respect of having a positive relationship with staff. I don't get the respect of having a reasonable discourse with anyone there. They just censor my content, suppress what I'm saying, and move on, because they're Twitter and Facebook and they're centralized. And that's what I'm saying. If I post on Minds, I'm much more likely to be seen. If I post on PocketNet, I'm much more likely to be seen. And I've seen it. I've watched this happen. Same with Mastodon, Float, Commune. My followers see what I put out there. They always see it. So I would rather post to there anyway, because it's easier to get my message out. MeWe less so, and I'm gonna catch some flack for this, but MeWe's algorithm sucks too. And the fact that they have a constantly flowing feed of posts, that's not how anybody reads social media, and they should know that by now. So, a lot of these sites that try to be alternatives just end up being shit. For instance, Parler, which is awful. It's coded poorly. It logs people out randomly. it's a WordPress install, so it's not even their code to begin with, which is probably why it sucks so much liquid ass. Like, Parler is trash, and Gab isn't much better. Like, during the debates the other day, I couldn't get in, and it was locked down. And I'm not gonna blame censorship for that. I'm just gonna blame the fact that Andrew Torba can't code. So, like, there's a significant amount of problems with a lot of these alternatives. But like, for instance, Minds is great. My people see what I post when I post on Minds. My people see what I post when I post on Mastodon or Liberdon specifically. My people see what I post when I post other places than these highly centralized, algorithmic-based social media networks. And that's what I want. I want people to see when I post. So I'm going to be posting more on these alternative social networks more than I have been. Learn to code, Torba, Ryan says. Yes, yeah. And the fun thing is, when I brought up the fact that the so-called conservative site, which banned porn because sexual content bad, had a bunch of pedophiles on it, he blocked that account on Twitter, and I'd still be able to show that to you and do an overlay on the screen right now, but he deleted the official Gab Twitter account, so you can't see anything that beautiful, perfect account tweeted. You can't see any of it anymore because they deleted their Twitter as a way to say, no, you delete Twitter, come over to Gab. And it didn't work, Twitter's still a bustling hub of, Trump support. Twitter can, that's the thing. Trump said he could shoot somebody in the middle of Times Square and not lose followers. Twitter can censor a bunch of Qists and still have Qists on there. They can censor conservatives en masse, and they still have conservatives on Twitter, because it's still one of the biggest platforms. They can shoot somebody in the middle of Times Square too and get away with it. There's no canceling Twitter or Facebook. They're going to have to massively implode in terms of staff and have a walkout that way in order to lose any amount of power. And let's face it, that's probably not going to happen. So ultimately, that's like where we are. We're with these big centralized social media companies empowered by the state to suppress content inconvenient to the status quo narrative, and empowered by corporations built by this state to make sure that nothing like detrimental to their bottom lines is posted. And these are the big ones, the big companies. The big companies are the ones willing to play ball with the elites. And that's what we have. So ultimately, until we're willing to branch out, until we're willing to put our stuff elsewhere, we are absolutely fucked. So that's why I'm saying it. And also, if by chance somebody has like a news outlet they want my extremist bullshit on, if you've read my AgoristNexus articles and thought, yeah, this is good stuff, feel free to hit me up if you have a position that pays reasonably well, because I could use the work. But that's what I'm effectively trying to preach today, is get on alternative social media, branch out, do as much content variety as possible to reach as wide a variety of people as possible, because they're using the election as an excuse to kill accounts that have not harmed anyone. They're using the election as an excuse to rig politics. They're using politics as an excuse to silence people, as fucking usual, as they did the same time last fucking year. And they'll do it over and over and over, no matter who it hurts. Because, again, they don't care if they hurt you. In fact, it's good for them to hurt you. So that's my message. Get to a position where you're able to still fund your content, no matter what gets in your way, Get to a position where you can still say what you need to say, no matter what happens. Because if you let them control your message, if you give them the universal on and off switch to your message, you're not a rebel. You're just convenient opposition. They can turn you off. So, like, and if the revolution is considered nothing more than posting online, then they can kill a revolution just by banning a few accounts to reduce the morale of the troops. So ultimately, unless you're willing to put your battlefronts everywhere, you're doing yourself and everybody else a disservice. Disavowed says, easier said than done. No, it's not. It's not easier said than done. It's literally perfectly easy to do. You set up an account on PocketNet. You set up an account on Commune. You set up an account on Mastodon. You set up an account on Minds. You set up an account on Float. You set these accounts up, and then you post your links in a coin tree. It's about, like, if you're being slow, it's about 6 hours of work to get on the networks that I'm on. It's not hard to do. You can do it. I have faith in even you, Bebo. I have faith in you and your ability to talk about libertarian fascism, which is still an oxymoron, anywhere you want. These networks are not hard to join. So easy, a libertarian fascist can do it. Which, again, I can't emphasize enough, is bullshit. But to be very specific, PocketNet is easy to join. It's easy to join, and when you join PocketNet, you can post your content there. So, for instance, for your terrible podcast, Disavowed, you could join Elberry and have your videos eternally preserved on the blockchain. And at that point, you can post that link to the Elberry content on PocketNet. You'll get both Elberry and Pocketcoin, which are both exchangeable. So you get actual money for it. And you post that link to Facebook instead of a YouTube link. It won't drive as much traffic as Facebook. That's because you're not driving traffic from PocketNet. You're not driving traffic from Elberry. You're driving traffic to YouTube. So you're saying it won't get as much traffic because you haven't put in the work to get the traffic from those places. And because your network still thinks that if they want to reliably catch your content, which I don't know why somebody would, but your network thinks the only way to reliably catch your content is through YouTube and Facebook. They don't know about any alternatives, and you've not tried for any alternatives. It's not that it's easier said than done, it's that you're not doing it. So that's my response to that. It's real easy to do. It's super simple. And all these networks are all postable in your coin tree, which is something every anarchist should have. So if you do that, you post all your information to your coin tree, you've got your long list of different places where people can find you. You still post on Twitter and Facebook, right? You still use YouTube. That makes sense to me. What doesn't make sense to me is only using those things. Because when you only use those things, you're eminently censorable. Even AgoristNexus didn't only use those things. He was on Float. He was on I think he joined PocketNet pretty early on too, but he was on these networks and he was willing to join more. When I posted my Failbook article, after he was censored, he joined the networks that are in that, with few exceptions, and he's available there now. He's also available on Keybase, which is an encrypted chat mechanism where you can send end-to-end encrypted chat messages and also files. You can also send cryptocurrency in the form of stellar lumens, and you can do all of this from a native chat application with encrypted private GET, with file storage systems, with hostable websites that are up to 250 gigabytes if you have your Keybase file system set up, and you can do all of this from Keybase. So Keybase is great. And so are a bunch of these other services. Like, people who say that, it's so hard to join things more than Facebook and Twitter are mostly just making excuses for only being there. Jason Bassler of the Free Thought Project knows this. It's why he recently put out this image that said, I'm tired. I can't remember what it said entirely, but I'm tired of these people who are always complaining about social media censorship but never join anything other than Facebook. Something like that. And I agree, 100%, because if you're unwilling to join alternative platforms, you're not going to get anywhere when you're trying to say something alternative or edgy or controversial to the system. It's easier to not do anything, but that's not good, lol. It isn't a virtue. Ahaha blahadu. Exactly. I think that's how you pronounce that. I don't know, I'm bad with shit like that. Ahabladu, maybe. Yeah, laziness is not... Okay, it's peace. Laziness is not a virtue. And that's the thing. Like, the virtue is trying to put your message everywhere, if your message is virtuous. Of course, I don't think Bebo's message is virtuous, personally. But, you know, that's what you need to do. Because if you're only in the places that are easy to control, you're easy to control. And that's not good. At least not if you actually have a message that's opposed to control. So I'm trying to get everywhere. I'm on all these alternative platforms. You can find me at different places by being... going to my coin tree, and as a result, I'm less censorable than some other people. You know, I'm less censorable than somebody who's just on Facebook or Twitter. And if I ever lose my account, people who appreciate what I'm saying can find me elsewhere and say, "Hey, are you gonna get another Twitter, or do I have to find your content here now?" And I can make choices. I have power. I have, you know, leverage against these social media companies. And that's one of the things. Like, I think that might be a reason, not the only reason, by a damn sight, and not and not that I know this 100%, but I think that might be a reason I'm not banned yet, because they know it would cause a scene if somebody who doesn't violate TOS is banned, because I can't find a TOS violation. I mean, I'm pretty sure I do it, but I can't find it. But the general idea is that, you know, I might be able to raise a stink. I might be able to cause a problem, because they can't simply silence me. They can't simply remove me, so they don't want to do it. Like, I have my website, which, you know, hosting is coming up, so I got to fundraise for that too. But, like, I have my site, I have Keybase, I have PocketNet, I have Minds, I have MeWe, I have Float, I have Mastodon, I have all these services, even Parler, even Gab I have, even though I hate both of them, and Parler especially. Like, I'm available places, and people who aren't available places will be cut off at some point. The social media algorithm, the people who run the social media companies, they will cut you off at some point. So if you care about your message, feel free to diversify. And additionally, if you care about, like, anybody else's message, feel free to diversify, because you're going to be able to constantly interface with what they're putting out. If you want to see what somebody else is saying, you should be at the place where you can guaranteeably see what they're saying. PocketNet is huge to me, because they have, like, immutable posts. They have their own interface, so no browser can block them. No internet host can block them through a browser. And generally speaking, they're uncensorable, because you can't block all the nodes. You can't block all these people from saying what they want to say. PocketNet is great. And they also give you your own phrase. That's one of the things I don't like about Commune, is that, yeah, it's technically Ethereum, it's technically a cryptocurrency, but it's custodial. Like, they have your key. So, ultimately, PocketNet to me is the best example of a blockchain social network. It doesn't have whales like Steemit does. It doesn't have custodiality like Commune does. It's freedom. It's freedom to post what you want to post, and piss off the elites if you want to. If you don't want to piss off the elites, fine. Keep on the network controlled by the Atlantic Council. That's Facebook. Keep on the network funded by the CIA. That's Facebook. Keep on networks also funded by the CIA, like Google. Keep on networks that constantly pander to the elites, and whose founding member, if I recall correctly, has been to Bilderberg. You know, keep there. Keep there if you have nothing valuable to say. But if you do have something valuable to say that's like against the elites, be places that they can't control, plain and simple. And that's how you're gonna keep your content going. So, with that being said, I mean, it's still open to questions. If anybody has anything they want to ask, they can feel free to do so. If anybody has anything they want me to comment on, they can also feel free to do so. But other than that, I'm gonna close down the stream relatively quickly. If there's nothing to answer to. But basically, those are the things. I'm gonna start that soon. I'm gonna start a lot of stuff relatively soon. And when you if I shouldn't say when, if you decide you okay, I've got a question. I don't have anything valuable to say. Why do they censor me? A, because you talk about things that are in their automatically censored block lists, which means that they're going to do that anyway. B, because you have a constantly low ratio of thumbs up to thumbs down rates on your account. Like I've looked at your YouTube. It's pretty dismal in terms of likes. So like that influences whether or not YouTube will serve your stuff to other people, because your community rating isn't very high. And Facebook specifically, they'll censor anyone who says anything of any nature politically. Psycho says, question, do you think Trump's COVID deal is a political tactic? I'm not sure what you mean by deal. Do you mean him having it? Because maybe. Because that's the thing. I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was just a fake, if he was just using that for leverage. Oh, feel pity for me now. Now everybody has to feel sorry for me, and also I don't have to debate again. And all I had to do was get on a plane. Because that's the thing. The other day I made somebody super sad in a group message on Twitter because I didn't immediately fucking buckle when he said, oh, so I guess you think COVID's fake. Because what I posted was that Kentucky was using a COVID outbreak to silence protests surrounding the increasingly less and less believable story of the Attorney General in Kentucky surrounding the Breonna Taylor case. And so I posted that in chat, and he's like, "Oh, so I guess Trump is faking it too." And I'm like, I mean, I didn't say that, but all he did was get on a fucking plane. That's all we know. That's it. We know he got on a plane. That's all we know. Also, just worked out, so I still got a little bit of that post-workout phlegm. But we know he got on a plane. That's it. That's all we know. So the idea that he couldn't possibly be faking it, that's completely absurd to me. All he had to do was get on a plane, and suddenly he was trending, and everybody felt sorry for him, with like the exception of maybe a quarter of the population. But that's the thing. Like, I don't know that it's fake, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was. Is Trump going to fake his death and disappear? No, he's not. The point of having the virus, if he was faking it, would be to forestall debate. Would be to make sure it happened online. Would be to make sure it didn't happen at all. Or it would be to make sure that he could say, "See, our treatments are so good, the very best, in fact, that I can go, that I can have COVID one day and then not have it 3 days later. And see, I'm back on the debate stage and everything's fine." That's what it could be for, right? Because, like, to me, this is advertising. It's nothing but an ad campaign. It's Trump saying, oh, I have this virus, but we have the best team on it. And so then the team gets to say, "Oh yeah, see, we did all the best stuff we could," and then he was fine. And then Trump gets to say, see, our treatments for COVID are so good that I'm back in action immediately. It seems like a propaganda campaign to me. Like a lot of this stuff does. That's the reason there are empty hospitals, because a lot of hospitals are being told to treat exclusively COVID patients. And that means a lot of other curves are very sharp, while this one is, quote, flattening. It's pretty pathetic, but it works for most people because most people are willing to believe a lie as long as it's been repeated to them enough. And it doesn't matter that a lot of doctors disagree with the mainstream narrative. It doesn't matter that a lot of hospitals are empty or that the medical system is hyper-burdened in that regard. It doesn't matter that that a lot of this stuff is designed to increase their power, which is why the thing I was right about, which is the facial recognition superstate, empowered by the Internet of Things and smart glasses, is being literally rolled out in America right now in Flint, Michigan. None of that matters. All they need is propaganda. All they need is the people to believe it. And then, I posted on Twitter the other day a thing, nature is healing, and I posted 4 separate masks I found in my city alone while I was doing very limited errands. And I would posit the notion that you can typically find in your city, if it's a relatively well-populated city, you could probably find 1 mask at least on every block, just strewn about. The earth is healing because of COVID, but we're still mass-producing high plastic cloth that people put over their face temporarily, or for way too long for it to be useful, and then they're just throwing them at the ground because, whatever. The earth is not healing. The earth is pissed. That's why the earth is trying to burn out California and its stupid gender reveal parties. Anyway, I think it's possible he has it. I think it's possible, absolutely. But do I think it's also possible that he could be faking it for propaganda purposes? Abso-fucking-lutely. Yeah, 100% he could be faking. And, saying that made somebody very sad, especially since I guess they're diseased as well in one way or another, and they weren't very happy with me for having the audacity to say that Trump could be lying. A politician lying? Wow, revolutionary concept. But that's the general thing. That's the general thing, I think, in that regard. So if anybody has any other questions, feel free to post them in chat, and I'll see what I can do about addressing them. I'm going to drink some more of this pink bullshit while you do. But you can find me on Twitch at Insanity is Free. I'm going to update my graphics today, and if everything goes well, I'm going to start streaming there gaming content. But this channel's not changing. This channel's still going to be my conspiratorial bullshit rants, and having interesting guests and interviews occasionally. What is the pink bullshit? The pink bullshit is primarily this, with some of this. I used up this container today. Some of this and carnitine. So basically it's high energy stuff designed to help you work out. I started drinking it. It was about up to here when I started my workout before I did this, which is why my hair's a little sweaty, by the way. Because I do high intensity interval training and I need a decent amount of caffeine, and I also need stuff to push the blood into the muscles. So vasodilation is huge, and so is like nutrients in general. So it's just a combination. Yeah, it's supplements. So yeah, that's what the pink bullshit is. So if anyone has any other questions, feel free. That's the general idea. Content diversification. And I want to get my gaming content well watched enough by the end of the month that I can do some horror games on stream and still get some traction. But the first games are probably going to be what I own currently, and what I own is mostly not horror games, even though I very much like survival horror as a genre. because like I'll probably, to be honest, one of the first things I'll probably be doing is a lot of Sonic content, and probably uh, like open it up to the audience to decide what they want me to do other than that, because I'm open to it, and the Xbox Game Pass makes things relatively easy in that regard, because all I need to do is rent a game. um, so, you know, I'll be leaving it somewhat open to audience interpretation in that regard. But that's the general idea, is that content diversification is going to happen. I'm going to be doing a lot of different types of content than I was before, and I'm still going to be trying to do content I was before, but I have to be self-sustaining, because relying on alternative outlets uh, showed an extreme dent in my stuff. So if y'all want to support what I do, I'm gonna post my coin tree again, so that you can donate should you so choose. But I'm like trying to get this to the point where I don't have to rely on anyone else other than my viewers in order to produce content. Because then I won't have to go out and do odd jobs. I won't have to figure out things at the end of the month. I won't have to take commissions for graphics anymore. Like, there's a lot that I could do if I was freed up. So feel free to throw anything you want at that link. There are multiple both cryptocurrency and fiat donation options available there. But with all that being said, what you can expect today, I'm submitting a piece. I don't know what the turnaround is going to be on that piece, for AgoristNexus at the discounted rate, on 10 ways the government has made you unhealthy. And the most recent piece I made for AgoristNexus was a piece on how the TikTok and Fortnite bans prove Konkin right about corporations. So feel free to go check out AgoristNexus.com if you want more info on that. So that in general is going to be what the next months are going to look like. And the gaming streams, they're going to happen on a schedule once I find out what day works best for them. But generally, they're probably going to happen in the evening Pacific time, and with variability depending on who wants to do what when. Like, if I get invited to be on somebody else's gaming stream, who's got some eyes on their content, I might do it earlier that day or something like that, or I might do both. But basically, there's going to be content like that available. So feel free to tune in. But with all that being said, it's been almost an hour, and it doesn't look like there are any more questions. So I'm going to wait maybe 30 more seconds, wait for some more questions, and if there aren't any, I think this was a relatively good stream. If any of you are new to this channel, feel free to subscribe. I'm almost at 1,000, which, it's small, but it's not small because I've never been at 1,000 before, even though I've been at this for many years. And it'd be nice to actually be at 1,000 subscribers so that I could start to accelerate. The fact that I've never been at 1,000 subscribers, even though I have like probably hundreds of hours of watchable content, if not thousands by now, is to me probably due to the fact that my content is somewhat irregular. So I'm going to try to correct that, and I'm going to try to put in a lot of work to make a lot of content for you guys, because I want to earn the eyes that are on my content. But if you aren't new here, feel free to share the content I do put out. I understand not sharing these informal discussion streams because it's very informal, and it doesn't have a specific purpose other than like updating people about a channel that they that they have no idea about. But if you wanted to, for instance, share my Abolish the USPS video so that people could see that the USPS has always been a massively corrupt institution, that would be great. If you wanted to help this guy the Southern Poverty Law Center is libeling, feel free to do that, because they're basically tarring him as a white supremacist with zero reason. If you want to tweet out my all cops are bad video, if you want to tweet out my video on the fact that the war on cops is bullshit, if you want to tweet out any of my interviews, if you like those people, just feel free to support this content if you like it. Because ultimately, I can't have any reach without you guys. The network is what's going to keep me strong, not me on my own power. Like, it's not just me. Any content creator who says it's just me is lying and also probably psychologically damaged in some way. And I try to neither lie nor be psychologically damaged. So, at least not any more than I already am by being the insane, ranting conspiracy theorist I am. But that in general is the truth. Without you guys, I'm nobody. I'm just a guy ranting on the first floor, not the basement, Spike Cohen, of a home share. Someday I'd like to change that, and I've got to change it relatively soon because I got a girlfriend to take care of now, and I kind of like to be able to do that. But without you guys, I'm nobody. You know, without the network, I'm just shouting into a void. So feel free to share my content if you do appreciate it, and when it comes out, feel free to share that. Especially my articles on this virus and how it's being used to weaponize the Internet of Things against the people, because I can't emphasize enough how fucking terrifying this is. How the state is slowly turning into a dystopia that dystopian fiction has been warning you about for fucking ever. This is serious shit. The elites are bloodlusty fucking tyrants, and they want you dead or controlled. That's it. So, to be very specific, you gotta take your own reins. You've gotta take your control back. You've gotta take your power back, because if you don't, they have all the power they need to crush anyone they need to. So, with that in mind, I'm gonna try and produce some content by the end of the day. If you like what I do, feel free to like and subscribe. If you like what I do and want other people to see it, feel free to share. And if you like what I do enough that you want to see me continue doing it, feel free to support the content using any of the links in the coin tree there, because I can use all the help I can get in that regard. I'm always constantly suppressed, and ultimately, without you guys, I don't have any support at all. And ladies, yes, ladies and gentlemen, all the conspiratorial freaks out there who listen to this long-haired neckbeard talk about tyranny and shit like that they should have no business looking at, because obviously anybody who does is just a puppy raping grandma hater who wants to destroy America. Well, I mean, the last part is true. Anyway, with that being said, thank you to anyone who does support me, who wants to see what I do, and I hope you have a great day, and smash the state.